We're back with Kelley Mickwee on Country Pocket on WUSB Stony Brook 90.1 FM. The song you just heard is called Verge of Tears, and it's a bit of a heavy one. Um, what is that feeling that you described at the beginning of the song where you're not feeling so great internally and you think everyone can see right into your head?
Yeah, but really the truth is no one can. No one knows or no one cares. Everyone's got their own thing happening. All the time we're walking around carrying all this stuff that's going on in our lives, in our past, in our present. And most of the time again, it's the breaking down of the ego. Like you think that your stuff is such a big deal and so important and everyone can see it on you, but if you really look around, it's like, no, no one cares. Everyone is having their own stuff. And I'm over here like on the verge of tears. And, you know, I'm alone in it because it's my stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not the worst feeling to think that you're alone in that stuff, though. You don't always necessarily want others to be able to join you.
That's right. You're right. Yeah. I mean, the only way to get through something is right to go through it, right, on your own. Um, but again, it's just that breaking down of the ego where it's just like you think that your stuff is so important and other people are gonna want to talk to you about it or pick up on it or blah blah blah. And it's like, no, no one really cares about that. They got their own stuff. So yeah, you're right. You're right. It's sometimes it's best to just go through it alone, but that's kind of sad.
Yeah, I also think real interesting idea being introduced there in a way is that you have absolutely no idea who you're approaching during the day, who is on the verge of tears, who's barely able to keep it together.
That's right. Yeah. From the clerk at the grocery store to someone that's driving in front of you that's going slow or fast or, yeah. It's really, really easy to forget that and just think about your own experience that you're having with that person or, yeah, that's just compassion, right? That's just being aware and having compassion for others and what they may be feeling. And I mean, Lord knows we need more of that, don't we?
Oh yeah. It would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be nice. Yeah.
So, um, the song doesn't totally go into what happened, but um, tell me, I guess, about the decision to uh avoid mentioning directly what the damage was.
You mean like specifically what happened?
Yeah.
I think because it's not actually about a specific incident or it's a accumulation of things that happened in this person's life. Accumulation of choices that he made. This one's funny. It gets a little confusing and you're the perfect person to ask because these questions are so thoughtful, but I'm wondering if you can tell or if it's confusing to you how it starts or it changes point of view,
Yeah. It
right?
I think what really fascinated me about the song was not so much that it changes point of view from the woman to the man, but it seems like there's this all-knowing narrator talking about what's going on. And the the real interesting part is that the narrator sort of confronts the man, and that really got me.
Well, cool, because I think that's really, really, I like that that is your answer. That is not necessarily what happened there. And the reason is, and I went back and forth about this before I recorded it, but I wrote it with Jed Zimmerman. So he started writing this song about himself. He was writing it about himself. And I came along and helped him finish it. And one of the lines he already had was, "You're not the kind of man you say you are. What are you running from?" He's talking to himself. He's telling himself, like, you're not the kind of man you say you are. You say you're this person, but you do this and you do that. And so when I came along and decided and finished it with him and decided to record it, I left that. But then it made it sound like I was talking to a person, a man, like I was in relationship with them. But really I'm just the narrator, you know? But it's a little confusing because I didn't change it to "you're not the kind of woman you say you are." Like I could have changed it and kept it all a song about that singing to oneself, but I don't know, I kept the man part. So,
I think um I think I like that you kept the man part, but as bad as this sounds, sometimes I just like to keep my original thoughts on a song because
that's right. Yeah. And then you ask someone and then they tell you what it really is, and you're like, "Ah, I wish I didn't know that."
I just feel like it's so cool to have a narrator challenging a character in the song. And I especially think it's cool because you have absolutely no idea who's listening to this song. And if you're actually reaching out and getting someone who might be in need of hearing those words
Hmm.
when you sing a second person confrontational sort of
Yeah.
verse.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I mean, fortunately, most people don't get an opportunity to ask me what a song is directly about, so they have their own interpretation, and that's exactly the way it should be anyway, you know?
Yeah, yeah, fortunately. Yeah, it must be nice not to have your bubble burst.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed the soulful sounds and perhaps even more so, I enjoyed the fact that the soulful sounds were in service of lyrics that maybe you don't always hear uh, on a soul album.
Hmm, that's a nice thing to say. Thank you. Yeah, it's like a singer-songwriter soul album kind of in a way, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let me ask you a question. Why is it called Country Pocket, your show?
Um, I definitely started out playing maybe slightly more stuff in the country alternative country vein of things, but yeah, I've really bloomed out to just about anything Americana.
Yeah, well, Americana has bloomed out as well.
Yeah, I think in some ways I was just following the artists that I was following and just went with it.
Yeah. How cool. How cool that you have that freedom.
Yeah, it's a nice thing. And non-commercial radio is just a strange little miracle of this world, if you ask me. The
Here it is.
notion, the notion that you can support art for art's sake, uh, it seems very lost on people.
Yeah. Well, that's just because they don't know, they're confused by what they don't know. And they just know what's fed to them, you know. So come along and have stations like this station. And I work at a station here in Austin, and it's the same. It's you know, the playlist is curated by the program director who is plays a lot of local music, plays a lot of, national, just anything, just whatever, what song flows beautifully into the next, the art of that, and that's like also a lost art too. So anyway, thank you. It's what I meant to say.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. Very, very thoughtful questions. I appreciate it.
I like to close out my interviews by having the artist pick a song. The one rule is you cannot have anything to have done with creating the original. So,
Any song ever?
yeah, I'd love if you went along with something that we talked about today, expanded on one of those themes. But yeah, pretty much any song that I would be able to play during the daytime hours, according to the FCC.
Uh, um, well, about those themes. Okay. Well, my initial thought was, I have been getting into that Waxahachie band, that girl. Do you
All right.
know, are you familiar with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw them in Nashville play a show, and I'm sure this song, it was a big hit for them, but I've just been really loving listening to it lately. It's Right Back to It,
All right.
that song that she recorded with MJ Linderman. It doesn't touch on the topics that we were talking about, but that song's in my brain because I've been listening to it a lot lately.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, and let's get right back to it.
That's right.